call this meeting order. All stand facing the flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Roll call. Britton Luther.
Present.
R.J. Donovan.
Here.
Tim Yoakum's present. Approval of minutes.
Motion to approve minutes.
I'll second his motion.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approval of claims.
Make a motion that we approve claims,
I'll second the motion.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approval of payroll.
I'll make the motion to approve payroll.
Second the motion to approve payroll.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Treasurer's report. Lorenzo's here. You want to give it?
You have the treasurer's report. This is the interest report that I left. Yeah. There should be a color one there too, that you can read easier.
I had this one here.
The main checking account earned $53,725.35. The American Rescue Plan is tracked separately within the main account. It earned $2,233.23. Trust Indiana, we have very little in there, $719.59, and then we have a CD for CUME reassessment at $105.41, for a grand total of $56,783.58.
Now, this interest is going back into this general account, or does it go back to each individual?
The Trust Indiana and the CUME reassessment goes back to the funds. So there's 3 funds that get their interest by statute. The rest goes into, so we're less than $1,000 goes back into funds. The rest of the $56,000 goes into county general.
How many months have we had this at this rate? I mean, a couple months now?
We
50,000?
started this interest rate 4 days in July is all we had that. So.
But it went up at the first of the year, wasn't it?
It goes up every time the feds have a rate change.
Right, but I'm saying the big rate went, because we wasn't getting no interest out of this stuff, but it went up started going up in January, where it really started escalating.
I don't have it in front of me, but I have it all in my file, because every time it changes, I have to. So for the month of July, 27 days were 1.65. So we only had 4 days of 2.4. So
if we average $50,000 a month, it'd be $600,000 one year then, right?
Yeah, depends on how much money gets spent.
You're making the county a lot of money.
Well,
you earn your pay.
It's fun.
Very good. Anybody got any questions or comments?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We're open for public comment. We'll have open comment before and comment at the end. If anyone has any comment now, they can say what they want to say.
My name is Les Zimmerman.
Everybody hearing?
And I am here tonight with my colleague, Tom Milligan, in our capacity as officers of the Vermilion Trails Alliance. I know we're not on the agenda today, but this is not about our agenda. It's come to our attention that Commissioner Yoakum here, who is a member of our board, of the VTA board, there's some insinuations that he's been profiting from his relationship with the Vermilion Trails Alliance. And we just want to make a public statement here to the effect that he has in no way profited from his association with our group as a commissioner or as a private citizen or any other way. Tim Yoakum is the reason that Vermilion Trails Alliance is even put together. About 6 years ago, he inspired a group of us to form up the association, or the group. And as a result of his vision, the Vermilion Trails Alliance has managed to have almost $1.5 million invested in this county from various sources to bring a better quality of life to this county. And he deserves to be applauded for that. And anything that he's done in terms of the group, the alliance, he's done a lot of concrete work for us. It's all been volunteer. He's provided his expertise, his equipment, his fuel, his time to help the group accomplish our goals. And we just wanted to say this in a public forum, because when people insinuate things like this about one of our public officials, I'm deeply offended. And secondly, the insinuation that he was involved with our group, that's an insult to me and my group. So we're laying this out for everybody to hear. Nothing like this ever happens. It won't happen. Tim Yoakum is one of the most generous people that I know. He's got a heart for the county, and I'm proud to call him my friend. Want to add to that, Tom? Okay.
Well, he's just, I mean, it's sad, I guess, that people make up things that they don't know, and to accuse you of profiting from this when you volunteer what you do, it's just like, that's very sad. What people make up, it's like instead of building up their own house, they want to tear your house down so their house will look bigger. And I just find that I find that very sad, that people make false statements insinuating that you've done something profiting from the trail group, and that is absolutely you volunteer your time, your expertise, and your equipment to make things happen, and I just find it very sad that people would say otherwise.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else on open issues? I mean, on public comment?
Meredith Addison, Health Township resident and ER nurse for the last 42 years. This is a copy that Sonny Carey made of the Governor's Commission on Public Health final report. It was brought to the governor on August 1st. There was a big press conference on it August 4th. August 1st it went to his hands. August 1st to his hands. August 4th was the press conference. After I've said it, I've forgotten it. So it's all available on YouTube. You can just type in Governor's Commission on Public Health, and Indiana comes up top of Google for all 50 states. So there's 6 general work areas. One of them is workforce development. That's where my heart is, because all I ever wanted to do is be a mom. And workforce development for readiness, for preparedness, in case somebody ever shouts help, is where my heart will be all my life. So I just am a nurse because it pays the bills. Any questions? I'm back there. Thank you. Yes.
Anybody else on public comment?
Meredith, wasn't there one other thing that, didn't the governor say something about pushing Indiana back from 48 to...
I'm not close enough to the governor's table to actually hear the discussion, so what I hear is third and fourth and fifth hand hearsay. But I heard that ASTHO, Association of State and Territorial Health Officers, which is the national meeting of all 50 governors, they got together, and he was embarrassed to find out Indiana's 39th, 41st, 47th, depending on what report you read, in all 50 states for public health. Instead of tucking his tail between his legs and coming back to Indiana saying, I'm a lame duck, I don't have to do anything about it, he said, we're all familiar with back of the pack, we're going to pole position. So that's all hearsay, but he handpicked 15 people, and he said, make it happen.
Is that part of this?
This is their final report. Some very smart people, including Judith Monroe, the head of the CDC Foundation, who was our state health commissioner back around 2010. He knew her from a federal level. He said, "You're on the team. Dr. Box, you're on the team. Paul Halverson, you're on the team." And he just named 15 people, and they said, okay. They had 100% attendance to every monthly meeting for hours since September 2021, and it's all on YouTube. You can just type it in and watch any of it.
Thank you.
Thanks. Now that we've got connectivity, you can.
Thank you, Mary. Next, we have Lucas Device.
My name's Tanner Sizemore. I'm with Stryker. I got my colleague Zach Jordan here. We have met with you, Commissioner Yoakum, and Commissioner Luther, along with the fire chiefs of the county. And we, and again, last week at the city council or county council meeting. And I don't really have anything new for you here tonight, other than to ask again that you would consider using some American Rescue Plan funds to support your fire departments and your communities by purchasing the Lucas device. For those in the audience, the Lucas device is a mechanical CPR device that assists our fire departments and first responders with CPR compressions, because we know that CPR is a difficult task and it's difficult to do well. And the Lucas device helps to alleviate a lot of the pressure and the problems facing our fire departments and first responders. So that's what I've got for you here tonight. I'm happy to answer any questions, but that's where we're at.
We had so many was talking about doing, and there was a break point as
Yes,
far
sir.
as reduction. Did we?
It's at 10. If you buy 10 units or more, there's about a $125 difference.
So yes, sir. So there's a few break points. Up to 10, the device itself and the 5 years of the warranty costs roughly $22,100 per unit. If you go from 10 to 12, you're now at $21,684 roughly per unit. 13 to 14 is $20,567 roughly per unit, and anything north of 15 is $19,514. So there are several breaks in the pricing. I did give some updated quotes to Commissioner Luther. He's got them there, and I can give them to each of you as well. But yeah, so roughly, depending on the price point or on the number of devices, there could be up to 4 price breaks or pricing tiers.
The county council, I believe, was unanimous in their support of the purchase of these units. They varied anywhere from, well, I think they started at the 10 units or 11 units, whatever. What was the recommendation? Was
The recommendation was 12 units.
12 units, yeah.
And that was 2 for EMS.
Right. That would include Ileana ambulance service, include our emergency operations center, or basically for Mark O'Hare to go to units with, and then 8 for the fire departments and districts. The council was also interested in providing these for school at the schools and some other locations as well. They saw the benefit of these and were in full support of that and more. I'm not sure that I'm necessarily can agree that we need to purchase that many different units. There is a requirement that they at least be a first responder to be able to use these units. Fire first responder, not just a first responder of any sort, but anyway, have a certification.
There's usually one for the jail. Is that?
Yeah, there'd be one for the jail, 1 for EMS, 2 for the ambulance service, and 8 for the fire departments. So it's 12 units, I believe.
And Clinton City would be getting one also.
Clinton Fire.
Clinton Fire would be furnishing
Yeah.
the paint.
It would be regardless of who these go to, we would have the county will maintain control over them and ownership of them. There'll be an interlocal agreement, assuming that we have purchased these. There'll be an interlocal agreement that the different department, that 1 that we maintain ownership, and then 2 that they'll maintain units, maintain training, and this also includes a 5-year maintenance plan with the prices that we were looking at.
What happens after the 5 years?
So after the 5-year maintenance plan, what we see a lot of times is if it's a purchase like this, it'll allow the individual departments or agencies to build the next maintenance plan into their operational budget 5 years down the road, or there's nothing saying that you have to re-up the maintenance plan, but we obviously encourage it. But after 5 years, you just have the option to then re-up for 5 more years.
Year 4, and you basically turn it in, part of that in for new batteries.
Yes.
For the units as well, which is, how much is the batteries?
Off the top of my head, $500, $600. So we recommend a battery swap every 4 years. So within that 5-year warranty, you will then get a battery and a charger swap for free. It's included in that maintenance cost. So that way, at the end of that 5 years, you have a fresh battery, fresh charger to move into the next 4 or 5 years.
What I'd like to do tonight is to be able to make a recommendation council how many units that we would like to purchase and to who we would like to supply those to. Come October 1st, there is going to be an increase in price. So if we wait too much longer or kick this can down the road, as we proverbially say, we can increase our costs.
Yeah, I think, Brendan, if I can piggyback off some of that, I think these are a great asset to the community. I think they'd be great for the fire departments, for the jail, for the EOC. I'm just going to stand firm on the 2 devices for Ileana EMS. We pay over $700,000 for a private entity. And if we provided those to them, that would be over $40,000 that we're also subsidizing. I just would like to stand firm that we do not get Ileana EMS those 2. I mean, if they arrive on scene, they can take one of the fire departments, they can return it. That would be my recommendation. You guys can, if you want to go 12, that's up to you guys, but I just think it's prudent to not spend that extra $40,000 for the Ileana ambulances.
So you're saying that you like the number 10?
10, yeah, 8 fire departments, 1 jail, and 1 EOC. If I think that was part of the recommendation.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
The fire did put the ambulance services into that.
This is all based on fire department's recommendations, right, Mark?
Yes.
What they recommended, doing that also for the ambulance.
For 4 years for all of the CPR they had done on people. I can't think of the term, but every time they've done CPR over time, and that was all forwarded to Commissioner Britton, and I believe to all 3 of you with a letter backing that up. I don't know that we had good data from the jail, but they have had people at the jail.
And my question was, who recommended the ambulance doing that?
That was the fire chiefs.
The fire chiefs did?
That was the whole group.
Okay.
The responders group.
Some of the thought chime in on this. The way I understand what they were thinking is that if the unit came available to, or they were using the unit, fire department, on an emergency, the unit would stay on the person, the ambulance would swap a unit out, and they would take off. And then the unit would still reside with the fire department. Is that what their thought was?
That was the idea.
Yeah, come on up, please.
I believe, I'm Mark O'Hare, the Lincoln County Emergency Management Director. I believe Commissioner Britton Luther has had a conversation with Ileana EMS's director. I have had a conversation with them since then. He thinks that just using the ones from the fire department would be a good way to go. If that's going to be a breaking point and we're stopping the fire departments from getting them, he thinks the best way to move along is go with 10, is what he told me. Okay, so I wouldn't get too hung up in the weeds on whether you buy 2 for the ambulance service or not. Get them for the fire departments that need them to get out there and get help people.
Some of the other considerations were that typically if there's that type of event, there's a firefighter either driving or in the ambulance in some way or another assisting. That person has to get back to his area eventually, whether it's immediately or a couple hours afterwards. The unit could come back with them. The data that we have so far doesn't show that we've ever had, at least in the historical data, doesn't show that we've had 2 heart attack events in the same area at the same time. Historically, that's not occurred. even if we would have, that doesn't mean that a unit from another district couldn't be also en route to do something with that as well. One of the other issues is that transferring of equipment. Some departments, different departments maintain their equipment in different ways, whether it's a battery or whether it's a unit, or how it's kept clean, where it's kept, where they can find it or not, whatever it might be. Different departments do different things. They have different priorities. They have different operating procedures. And by transferring one unit to another department, or transferring these units where they don't get back to their original receiver, may be an issue also. However minor it might be, it's still something to consider. With that being said, I think I'm having a hard time providing them for the cost to the ambulance service, and if we find at a later date that it would be a benefit, or that we're using these and that needs to be changed, I think then that we would want to consider maybe buying another 2, or however many that might be. I'm not in agreement with providing them to the schools, letting them hang as AEDs. They need to be point on to where this event's going to happen, and somebody needs to be trained, not just CPR trained, but trained accordingly. I also asked our health department whether they could participate or would participate in this. They thought that the CPR, that they're providing a CPR class, served the county better than using these funds that they have for the purchase of these units. I don't necessarily agree, but that's the Board of Health's opinion on this. They do have funds that could have been used for this as well. I don't think is the Board of Health here tonight? Anybody?
No, I don't see any.
So those are all the issues, I think. I don't know of any other issues that we have out there outside that everybody, except for Health Department, is in agreement. I'm not sure they're against it, but they just didn't want to fund it.
Was the recommendation going to be the ARP funds too? Was that where we were?
As far as I believe, I'm not sure we have any other funds available
to do it
to us.
I would.
That'd be up to council to find the funding though.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we send a recommendation to the county council to purchase 10 of these units, 8 for the fire departments, 1 for the jail, and 1 for the EOC.
And I'll second that motion.
Discussion?
No, I just want to commend Britton Luther on spearheading this and doing all the legwork and all this. I mean, I know there's a meeting here that I missed, unfortunately, but I do think it's a benefit to the county, and I appreciate him taking the legwork to do all this, so thank you.
Thank you.
If you have any more questions for Stryker, now's the time to ask while we're in discussion.
I don't have any more.
If we're in agreement, we don't necessarily have to vote on this, but if we want, we can vote. Do you want to call for a vote, or?
Yeah, call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Thank you, Mark, for your efforts on all this too.
So are you going to advertise before the next council meeting so that we don't put it off another month?
I asked them to already advertise. I don't know if we have or not, but I think at the last week I've asked for the advertisement.
Yeah, if I could, see what Britton said. Thank you, Mark, and all the fire chiefs as well that, headed this up as well. It was a lot of, I'm sure, meetings and due diligence, and I do appreciate that as well. Thank you.
I would ask that if we find that the other 2 units are needed, I think we'll be more than willing to do that if we find that becomes an issue in the short term anyway, or long term.
And the schools have safety board meetings. I don't know when the next is going to be. Usually it's about once a quarter. That could be something brought up at the safety board meeting where the schools want to get in on this.
If they know sooner than, if that funding comes from a different source, if they let us know, we can, I'm sure Stryker will be happy to sell more of these. Michigan bought, I think we're a month, how far, we're 6 months out now, once we place the order.
3 months.
Oh,
Yes.
we're back
Yeah.
to
There was
3
a
months.
big department up in the state of Michigan that bought 77 of them, so that kind of threw the whole build schedule off for a little bit, but we're getting better.
We were within a month, maybe 2 weeks to a month, and now we're out at 3 months. So. Anyway.
We're gonna move on. We're
Thank
gonna
you. Did you want to have Lions Club?
What?
Did you want to have Lions Club up?
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to do. Lions Club's next. Newport Lions Club, the use of the courthouse laundry. and-
Sorry about that.
Yes, my name is Bert
Thank you.
Morrison, and this is Aaron Laney, and we're here representing the Newport Lions Club, requesting, asking permission from the
Thank you.
commissioners to utilize the courthouse lawn during the Newport Hill Climb, October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of this year. What we do is we would do the assigning of any lots or spaces that would be utilized on the lawn. And as well, we'd like to ask permission of the new property that you've acquired across the street, that during the hill climb, that has been utilized in the past by the Cayuga Lions Club, who has a food stand there. Also, the old timers steamers equipment is set up in the drive over there as well. The vendors that are out front, and this was arranged through the bank, that they utilize some of the facilities, electricity plug-in, and also water supplied to a couple of the vendors. And that was worked out by them with the bank that was there. So I don't know where we would stand on that. And the vendors is actually the ones that got involved with the bank. And whether they made restitution with them or not on any of that usage, I cannot tell you that at all. But we're open to whatever you would suggest, and we'd like permission. There's vendors that are set up, of course, on the lawn along the sidewalk there as well.
On the property or or on the road, in the parking area?
They're all up on the sidewalk and on the property as well. Stands. We try to keep the drive, the roadway there clear. Of course, sometimes if you're there, you know that there's a lot of bodies are out there in the middle of that road. So they need all the room they can get there.
I don't know that, is that electric system set up for outdoor use?
I think what they use is there's plug-ins on the sides of the building, and I think they just use simple extension cords to run them, because they're not drawn like cooking like a 220 or anything that I'm aware of.
I think we need to look and see if they're properly wired for that.
It's not 220. I'm sure. I think that there's plug-ins on the front this side, outside the building, and on the east side of the building as well.
You know what type of arrangements they had with the bank previously?
I have no idea. You have to talk to Kathy about that.
Yeah, I would. I don't mind checking up on the things they had with the bank just to see how they have that set up. But I would like to give them the permission if another commissioner or all of them agree to use the courthouse lawn and the bank parking lot for the nonprofit groups. I know, like the Cayuga Lions Club, they've already reached out, and that's a big fundraiser for them. And I would hate to see any nonprofits not be able to use that like they have in the past. But yeah, the vendors up front, I think that may be something we need to check on with the bank, because that's just something I think would be prudent for us to do.
What type of
Say again?
are we at risk for doing something like that? Do you guys carry insurance for? How is that covered?
Yeah, we got festival insurance through the club, through the Newport International.
Okay.
Do the vendor, who
You'd
the
have to
vendors?
ask I mean, we can always be sued. That's anybody can sue you for anything. It's whether or not it's a valid suit. We can touch base with the insurance and ask our insurance carrier if there's any problem with. There's one to plug in on the outside of the building.
Right, and I think there's a water outlet on the west side as well that they utilize. There's an ice cream. Actually, it's an ice cream stand that sits on the corner there that uses water.
Are these vendors, is this something that you control? Or?
Yes, the vendors are controlled through us. Erin is involved with that. She's our secretary.
And they have insurance and all that good stuff that you
I'm not.
Some have sent in insurance forms, yes, sir.
Some do, some don't?
Some have. I've seen some. I haven't seen one for everything yet. I
Okay.
believe they're supposed to.
I don't mind, since we're not set up to do anything else with the property,
Yeah.
with regard to the hill climb, I don't have a problem with it. I'm just a little concerned about GFI, about the outdoor protection from electric. I know that's an issue with, well, we used to have it, the mill at Mansfield, and that was always a big issue of overloading circuits and GFI protection, and,
It hasn't happened in the past, but things happen.
you know, and the same thing with water. I don't know that we can. I think as long as our responsibility stops at the spigot.
And we'd appreciate if you would check on to make sure that GFI's on the stuff, you know. Be best with it.
If they're set up or if who's set up with it.
If you guys could check and make sure they got GFI stuff on
Okay.
it, the hookups on their wire at least, that would be.
If they'd
You
have
can't-
external
you can't do
GFIs
everything, but
on,
it
that'd
might
be
be.
best,
Yeah.
instead of us having to make sure that our GFIs work.
And we do run electrical cords out in that area that we supply to some of them too. I'm just saying, I don't know, I have seen an extension cord. We do run wires, we do supply electrical to them. That are not totally the lights and things that they have. We all, if you've been at the festival, you've seen cords, heavy cords laying along the ground. We're supplying electricity for a lot of different areas.
I have no problem moving on with this.
I have no issues with it.
There's a voice vote.
I'm fine with
We're all in
it, just
favor.
as long as the precautions are taken.
We're all in favor.
Thank you.
We appreciate what you guys do for the community. I mean, that's a big event for our county. I mean, it's a big event.
Yeah.
And,
A lot of non-for-profits.
approximately how many people come to that?
Well, we've heard estimates of excess of 50,000 to 100,000. Last year, I know there wasn't even close to that because of the weather. But the weather dictates a lot on how well we do. If everybody can hope for a 65-degree weather and sunshine, boom, we're in good.
Is it a big fundraiser for the Lions Club too?
That is our major fundraiser. This year, we're not doing as much as we have in the past because of that, but Mother Nature took care of a lot of that for us.
And no rain in the big field, right?
We don't want any rain. Still got marks out there. You can still see them today.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
thank you. Next, we have jail population. Sheriff Phelps. I had some. If I could find it again.
Trying to put some of this stuff together as a mountain load of data, paperwork trying to put out, but I think your basic question is 5 at that time up to 2015. Then at some point I discovered that, oh wow, we're counting DOC inmates too. Well, now you go back and look, there might have been 30, 35 county inmates and the rest were DOC. You know, and that number fluctuated by 10, you know, just number off the top of my head. But anyway, all the inmates that we're holding in there now are Vermilion County inmates. There's an occasional one that'll come through that is an order by a judge, a warrant that we have to hold for another jurisdiction. We have one in there now, and that's fairly steady. I mean, we've got inmates to pick up in other jurisdictions too. It's, you know, they're picked up somewhere else, they still have an order to hold on to them. But I can't give you an exact answer as to why that number did what it did. I can only tell you, you guys have seen the numbers, you can see what happens. Law enforcement can only bring them in, and I'm stuck with babysitting them until they either pay a bond, serve their time, or get released by a judge. I don't have any authority to let somebody out. There are times in the past where if somebody's a serious medical issue and not a high risk of violence, then I'll reach out to the court and the prosecutor and ask for some help. Sometimes I get my way, sometimes I don't, but you know, every single case is different. But
one of the questions I had is, during,